4 months. Children's first words will usually follow a simple syllabic structure with focus on the frontal consonants. In the first word stage, sound productions are typically produced front to back. This means they will produce the front sounds like p and b before they will produce sounds like k and g. Manner of articulation describes how the airflow is being modified to produce a consonant. In this case, stopped, nasal, and glides are the manner of articulation. Stop sounds are made when there is a complete obstruction of airflow, so p, b, t, and d. Nasal sounds are when the airflow is directed through the nose or nasal cavity. For example, or Glides have little construction of airflow and are produced with a gliding motion, like w and y. Place of articulation describes where the airflow is being constricted in the vocal tract while a consonant is being produced. In the first word stage, labial and alveolar are the places of articulation. Labial refers to the use of the lips in production, so p and b, and alveolar refers to the tongue in the alveolar ridge, or hard palate, so sounds like t, d, and s. Phonological processes are predictable patterns of speech errors that children in this phase use. Assimilation is when a sound in a syllable takes the feature of another sound in that syllable. For example, the word handbag would often be pronounced as handbag, so the sound becomes more like the b. Fronting is when the sound is being produced in the front of the mouth, when they are supposed to be produced in the back. So for example, a child saying tat instead of cat. Stopping occurs when an affricate replaces the stop, so ton instead of fun. The S fricative is being replaced by t, stop. There are also syllable structure phonological processes for weak syllable deletion, final consonant deletion, reduplication, or cluster reduction. Weak syllable deletion is when the child omits the unstressed syllable, so saying nana instead of banana. Final consonant deletion is when a child leaves off the final consonant, so like do for dog. Reduplication is the repetition of a syllable, like bath for bottle. And cluster reduction is when the child simplifies the consonant cluster, so poon for spoon. Children typically say their first words between 10 and 15 months. These words may be context-bound or referential words. Context words for the first word stage are words that children use in a specific routine, so the phrase night-night only when placed into the crib, but not saying those bedtime words everywhere else. Referential words refer to words that label objects or things and is used flexibly. For example, the word dog when seeing any dog, not only just our household pet. The vocabulary growth in this stage can increase rapidly, as we can see here. From the average range of 13 to 19 months, children will have about 10 words produced. Averaging between 14 to 24 months, children produce about 50 words. There are different ways we can categorize the first 50 words that the child produces. With the most of these words being common nouns, they can also be nominals, action words, function words, or modifiers. Nominals are words that function like a noun, like the word dogs in the phrase dogs bark, which is a noun serving as the subject. Action words can also be known as verbs and describe what someone is doing, so run, jump, eat. Function words carry grammatical purposes and help with sentence structure. This could be pronouns, prepositions, conjunctions, etc. Modifiers offer additional information about another word, like an adjective or adverb. Now for the average word range for 24 months seem to vary drastically. The average words produced is about 186 words. However, children around 24 months of age can produce as little as 28 words and produce as much as 436 words. After the first 50 words are produced, children start to put together grammatical morphemes. After about 100 words are produced, we can see growth in verbs and adjectives. Semantics in the first word stage can be relational words or substantive words. Relational words are words that children use to describe the relationship between objects, people, or events. In the first word stage, two-word utterances would take on additional meaning when it is used. For example, mommy coat, which refers to the possessor and the possession. Relational words include existence, like there and that, non-existence or disappearance, like gone and by, reoccurrence or reappearance, like more, possession and attribution, action and locational action, like down, up, and sit, and negation, like no or not. Substantive words are words that are used to label concrete nouns, which, like the point we made in the previous slides, are the first words younger children produce. Substantive words can be composed of agents or objects. Agents are words that help describe who is doing an action, and objects refer to the receiver of said action. Brown's 14 grammatical morphemes for the stage can be categorized into early 1 and late 1. In the early 1 stage, children typically have an MLU between 1 and 1.49, with occasional morpheme use. The word no is used as a response and not as a grammatical negation. There is rising intonation questions and a sentence structure of what plus this or that with no complex sentences. In the late 1 stage, children have an MLU between 1.5 and 1.99. There is still an occasional use of morphemes, like the early stage. The word no is added to a noun or a verb for negation, rising intonation questions, and children start to form form what plus noun verb phrases or where plus noun verb phrases, with also no complex sentences. The first word stage for pragmatics is when a child's vocalizations have communicative intent with adult-like intonation. In this stage, we can start to see turn-taking skills and various ways children express different intents. Doerr's communicative intent categories describe pragmatic functions children use before they fully master the use of grammar. There are 8 primitive speech acts: naming or identifying something, repeating part of what someone has said, responding to a question, asking for information, getting someone's attention, saying hello or goodbye, objecting something, and self-directed speech. By around 22 months, children start to express those various ways to express the same communicative intent, and by the second year of life, children move towards talking about then and there as well as here and now. They expand their language to past and future and talk about their imagination. In the first word stage, children start to notice miscommunications and when communication breaks. Younger children tend to repeat the same field message, but older children change what they said to clarify and attempt to fix the miscommunication. A child's receptive vocabulary is always further along than a child's expressive vocabulary. When 10 words are produced, 60 words are understood. By 16 months, a child's comprehension has grown so large it can no longer be reported. By 24 months, there are about 500 words that are understood. There is a 5-month gap between the comprehension of words and the production of said words, with verbs being produced less than they are being understood. In the first word stage, children begin to understand that objects continue to exist even when they cannot see them. Children have an increase in processing of word recognition in the first word stage. Comprehension in the first word stage shows that they understand 2-word utterances like possessor possession, agent object, or agent action. Comprehension strategies can be used by the child to help understand language when they do not fully understand the words. These strategies include attend to object mention, do what is usually done, conventional use of object, and child as an agent. When a child attends to object mention, the child is looking at what object is said. When a child is doing what is usually done, the child will follow a similar routine for that situation. The conventional use of an object is when the child uses the object's typical function. The last comprehension strategy is for when the child automatically interprets the sentence as if they are the person doing the action. There are some strategies that can be used to encourage communication. Word-referent mapping happens with only a few exposures and is when a child links a spoken word to its correct object or action. This includes joint attention, so the caregiver and child both focus on the same object and label it. There are 4 theories to word-referent mapping: whole object assumption, mutual exclusivity assumption, bootstrapping, and taxonomic assumption. By intentionally helping children connect words to the object or action, we can encourage communication growth in the use of language. This correlates directly to the caregiver's roles because caregivers are essential in helping to encourage communication. The child's caregiver can encourage communication by always staying one step ahead of the child. This means that the caregiver slightly increases the language difficulty just beyond the child's current level to encourage progress. Providing grammatical complexity can expose the child to more languages. So when we are encouraging expansion of language and grammar, we want to do so in a way that is based on the child's understanding and speech abilities.